All right, welcome back to another episode of Real Chums, where we're talking about movies feels like hanging out with friends. I'm one of your hosts, Danny Rubio, and usually with me, as always, is Marcel. But we forgot to record the intro at the studio, so you just get me today for the intro. But the rest of it is going to be Marcel and I chatting. We are going to be discussing Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, directed by George Hill, written by William Goldman, starring Paul Newman, Robert Redford, Catherine Ross, and more. In this episode, you're going to watch Marcel helping me understand why Butch Cassidy is truly an iconic film due to the fact that it starts the buddy action movie genre. And it is one that we should cherish more often than we do. So we hope that by the end of it, you want to go run to watch this movie, watch it, and love it as much as we ended up doing. We also discuss a lot of the beautiful cinematography, some of the interesting themes and other motives in this film, and just overall talk about why this movie is great. If you want to join in on that conversation, you can follow us on social at Real Chums, wherever you do your socials. But we do most of our stuff on YouTube, where you can go youtube.com/@RealChums, where you can subscribe and catch us doing trailer reactions, movie news, initial impressions when we can get to them, and the pod. With that being said, let's roll that intro. Welcome back, Marcel. Dude, I have the question of the day.
All right, go.
What was the first Robert Redford film that you watched?
The first Robert Redford film I watched, I'm pretty sure, was Spy Games with Brad Pitt, 1998. No, it was after 98. 2001, Spy Game.
I don't know if I can name the first one. The first one I truly immortalize is All the President's Men. But who doesn't?
Which I'm pretty sure, one of my junior high or high school teachers was like, oh, you guys should watch this movie, right? And I think that's when I ended up watching it, All the President's Men. But yeah, my first Robert Redford movie was Spy Game. Although my parents owned A River Runs Through It.
Yeah, okay.
And I remember being like, this movie is boring. As a 9-year-old, right? 10-year-old. So I did not put too much attention to A River Runs Through It. I should probably go back and watch that. But Spy Game, I'm like, ooh, Spy Game. And it has Brad Pitt and whatnot. And these two look identical. And then my mom also confessed how she still to this day just thinks Robert Redford's just the hottest man alive.
You're not alone. I think my mother-in-law, and I don't think my mom's ever said anything about Robert Redford, but she might also think he's good looking. But I mean, he's still a really great looking.
He's dude. Robert Redford, dude. He looks great. He looked great back then. He looks great now.
For reals. You know what? I think I might have seen him in The Horse Whisperer, not when it came out, but at some point after the fact.
Horse Whisperer?
The Horse Whisperer. This one? 1998. Yeah. I do remember Spy Game though. So it took me a second to clock it, but I was like, oh.
Yeah, it's a Tony Scott film. It's good actually. I don't think it was well liked at the time, but it picked up a lot of momentum over the years, and I really like it. From what I remember, I haven't seen it in a decade or two, but yeah.
We talk a lot about this, but Robert Redford is one of those actors that I think is one of those ones that you're we don't know, we didn't see his growth, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But this man, he put in work. Literally, he put in he was known for Broadway, but Butch Cassidy he did 3 movies in 1969.
Dang.
1972 he did another 3 movies. He did 2 movies in 1973, 1 movie in 1974, 2 movies in 1975, 1976, 1977, 1979, and just kept freaking cruising, bro. Sneakers. It's not my first one, but it is a very cherished film.
I haven't seen Sneakers.
Oh my goodness, bro. You would love it. It's a heist film.
Okay.
It's 92. This is, you've got Dan Aykroyd, Sidney Poitier, Joe Marr, dude. It is.
Oh, wow.
It's a killer cast. The story is just class. It's such good 90s film. It is top notch.
Okay. I'm gonna have to watch this.
You should watch it this
I'm
weekend.
gonna do it. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna do it. Yeah, actually, after watching this, and we recently saw him in Winter Soldier. We did Winter Soldier a couple of weeks ago.
I always forget that he's in that.
Yeah, and I was just like, I need to add more Robert Redford in my life. Yeah, because he's just great.
I want him. I want to see more in some. I want him to do something.
He's
like,
retired now.
Yeah, but
he's retired. And his last movie that he did, like official. I mean, yeah, he was in Avengers Endgame very briefly, but The Old Man and the Gun. This was like a passion project of his, directed by David Lowery, who I absolutely love. But yeah, this was his last movie, and it's based on a true story of this old 70-year-old guy who does a string of heists, and just the public falls in love with him because he's just this old man. He's super nice and caring when he robs a bank. And like people are just like, okay, fine, like here we go. He was incredible in this movie. I absolutely love it.
You saw it,
yeah. The Old Man and the Gun. It was his last movie. He said, yeah, this is my last one. I'm done after this.
Is it interesting that he ended his like career with another robbery film, where he got his start in film with Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid?
That wasn't his big hit, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid?
I thought it was. I thought it was.
No, I mean, he had done The Chase in '66. And then Barefoot in the Park, I've heard people love that movie, but I've never seen it, which was in '67. Yeah, and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid came out in '69. I think that's probably the movie that like really like gave him
solidified him. his role or his movie stardom.
Yeah.
Okay,
But,
I'll go with that.
With that said, though, let's jump into Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. So again, we're continuing our month-long look into classics we've never seen. This is one of my options for people to vote. Again, thanks to everyone on social media who cast their votes. And here we are doing Robert Redford's and Paul Newman's take on this. But which is funny because I put up 4 movies for people to vote, and the 2 movies that came with the most votes was this, Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, and The Sting. So we are doing 2 Paul Newman movies and Robert Redford movies back to back.
I'm here for it.
So yeah, I guess my wish of wanting to watch more Robert Redford's coming true. So thank you everyone that voted for that. I've never seen this. I understood the love people have for it, and I think this is one of those movies that I've seen so many clips of. Every time back in like the 2000s when I would watch what's the one, the Time Warner Classic Channel.
Yeah.
Okay. And they were interviewing someone and they would bring up, oh, I love this movie because of X, Y, and Z. I knew how the movie ended, the iconic final shot of them coming out and just the cool pose and everything. Like that has been immortalized in my mind for decades. But I just had never gone around to it for whatever reason. I think a couple of reasons, maybe like one, this wasn't like a movie that was constantly playing growing up. 2, I don't know how easily accessible it was on DVD. I'm sure it was. And 3, I've also talked about like how I feel about Westerns, which
same.
My love for Westerns has increased ever since we started this podcast because we've been doing more, and I think we're just choosing really good ones. But I also know, like, I knew of like the important historical context within this, his relationship with Paul Newman, and just the success that this brought for him. So I had that in mind, but that's kind of it. And let me know, what's your relationship with this, and then I'll tell you my initial thoughts.
Look, I started this film, and I think I realized this might have been my first watch as well.
Oh, okay.
I had seen clips because I think it had been on TV, and I remembered some of the bike scene for whatever reason. I had that. I'm like, oh,
the bike scene with raindrops falling on your head playing in the background. Yeah,
we're gonna get into it.
Yeah.
Okay, you just wait. But the raindrop, the bike scene, and then there was some of the Bolivia like heisting scene moments. But I don't think I don't remember ever seeing it from beginning to end. And so this is my first. I'm going to consider this my first watch.
Okay.
It is a classic. I understand why it's a classic, but I don't love it.
What? No.
We're going to get into it, okay?
Wow, you don't love it.
It is, I think for...
Did you love Citizen Kane last week that we did?
After ruminating and getting through in our conversation and thinking back and watching a couple moments again, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would consider it, I would put it on my, like, if I want to put classic films, I'm going to put it as one I'm going to watch for sure. This one, I definitely would watch again because there's like the banter alone is top notch.
Yeah, yeah.
It is legendary.
Uh-huh.
But when I look at it, the film as a whole, I don't love it.
I know. I cannot believe this, dude. Okay, my goal for this episode is to convince you why this is a really good movie. Okay. And why I love this. Look, we talked about 3:10 to Yuma and how I just felt like this is Westerns.
Yeah, okay.
This is the iconic, and we'll talk about it, the iconic buddy action movie.
Okay, because here's where I think maybe my dilemma is at. What the hell is this movie really about? I think my problem is we would go into these musical moments, these musical like intermissions.
Yes.
And I would I'm like, what just am I did I take a left turn in in El Segundo?
No, okay, let's jump right into it. Let's talk about 1969, okay? We did Alien a couple weeks ago, also came out in 69. This is late 60s, early 70s is what's introducing a new era of cinema. And if for those of you that are out there wanting to learn more, there's lots of books out there about America's cinema and the history of it all. But this is just a very iconic time. We're soon going to have the Jaws of the world that introduced the blockbuster idea of movies, right? Star Wars is right around the corner. And sorry, not Aliens did not come out in 1969, 1979. My bad.
I was waiting for you to get there. I didn't want to interrupt you. You were on a roll.
But this is an iconic time. So 1969, you are ending the time of the spaghetti westerns, right? The good, the bad, and the ugly. Those iconic Clint Eastwood and many other spaghetti westerns. And this movie comes in right during that transitional phase. And for me, this movie is all about change. Change is the enemy here. And let's start off with the opening scene, okay? I love this opening scene. And you could talk more a little bit about this, but like that coloring.
The aged film with the film reel sound.
And
that's what you're talking about, right?
But when Sundance is in the bank, okay, and he walks in, right?
Oh,
and he's looking around. And is it Sundance or is it Butch?
It's Butch.
It's Butch. Yeah, that's right. And he says, and that opening line sets this tone for the whole movie. He looks around the bank and he says, "What happened to the old bank?" And then the bank teller tells him, "Oh, we've had a couple of robberies. We've had to make some changes, upgraded our security, blah, blah." And then he says something along the lines of, it's a small price to pay for beauty. This just sets the tone for what we're in here. Here's a man who has an idea of what his life is, how he robs banks. And he has it down to a formula, right? He knows how to do it. He's been at this game for years. And now all of a sudden, that's being changed. He is not as confident, even though we come to know him as this very smart, witted leader. That changes the tone. And that sets the tone, for the movie. That this movie's about change. Both as outlaws, okay? As spaghetti westerns, America cinema with its approach to westerns. This movie's about change. And how change essentially affects Butch and the Sundance Kid.
Okay, you're right. I can see that. I don't know how I missed it. Honestly, I think I was caught up in the opening. I mean, the opening sequence is great.
It's beautiful. Even in my notes, I wrote, I would be perfectly okay if the movie was in this tone, like that coloring.
So I think part of it's like they went with a dark. I don't know if they went with a filter or if they went if they like decolored the process, because they're doing a film and I don't know how to film, but like desaturating in post or going from there. But they also shot high contrast.
Yeah.
Low like very backlit. You've got rim lighting all over the place for different sequences. So you're like heavy shadows to the side. It's such a like powerful opening like tone and setting the stage for what some of that is.
And it's this nod to spaghetti westerns, right? That you have it's not a black and white, but you have this tone, this yellowish, muted orange color. And then as he writes off, it changes into modern colorization, right? As we are about to embark on this journey of change. And here, like, this is what I love about this movie, is that it's very self-aware of it. You don't have the classic traditional spaghetti western musical score.
You're right.
Okay?
Yep.
Right? You don't have anything like that. It's a very orchestral, very happy. You have the random bicycle scene that you were talking about. So the movie is aware of what it's doing and saying, yeah, this isn't a spaghetti western. You have the two main leads who run away. Like, the movie spends 20-25 minutes of these guys just running away. You never see that from a Clint Eastwood, John Wayne, macho western, right? And so, like, the movie is aware of westerns, of spaghetti westerns, of these stoic, heroic Western male macho cowboys. And it's doing the opposite by, no, these guys are just buddies. We're going to see this chemistry on here. They're going to run away because they got caught now, because everything's changing for them. And we're going to take this Western on a whole different path. Okay.
All right. I've reframed my mind for this film. I truly don't. I don't know how I missed this. I really don't. I think, like I said this last week, these older films. Part of it is, this was a time. It's just the pacing on it is way slow. For me at
Okay.
times. And I think that for me, as I was watching, I'd get lost. I get lost in kind of like, what's happening again? Where are we at?
No way. No.
Listen,
Look,
I'm not saying.
yeah. No.
I'm
I get
just
it.
saying,
I get it.
this is my experience. But I definitely see the underlying idea of change.
Yeah.
Right. And it's, like both for and what they're trying at the ultimate end, at the end of it is how Butch and Cassidy, or Butch and Sundance, are trying to navigate this change, and how the entire film is them just trying to discuss what does that look like. The moment on the porch of them, maybe we go straight and we join in for the army and we fight.
Yeah.
And become, we'd be generals.
We'd be generals.
Or what is that what it say? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then later, just this like, oh, maybe we, let's go straight, or like, let's go get a job, sort of thing. And trying to find their way.
Yeah.
Of moving forward and going about that. But also even like trying to figure out if they can settle down.
And even at the very end, right? They're cornered in, and again, like full spoilers ahead. They're cornered. They can't escape. They're in that little building, and Cassidy gets this great idea of like, you want me to tell you my next great idea? It's because of your great ideas that we're in this mess, right? Says Sundance. But he even says, let's go to Australia. Like, it's time for a change. Okay, let's go to Australia. And this idea of what America cinema has been around Western films, and eventually why I'm not saying that they went extinct, but like they weren't as big money makers anymore. How do you embrace that change? And is change always the solution, or is it adapting? Right? These are individuals who couldn't adapt to this new world, right? And the movie takes place in like the late 1890s, right?
Yeah.
So it isn't like 1840s, 1850s, like
right.
the real big time of like westerns and all that stuff. Like
right.
this
Of
is
Western expansion of like, the cowboy and trying to homesteading in the West, like that. It's not that.
We're here at the turn of the century, right? And so much is happening. And how do we need to change, or do we need to adapt? And these are two individuals that weren't able to adapt. They tried to change, and in the end, it didn't work out for them.
I think we get this 100% in the fact that they are trying to be taught by Catherine Ross, playing at a place. She's trying to teach them Spanish. That truly is some of the best moments. I mean, you and me both, man.
Gosh, dude.
You're just like freaking gringo.
I just love that they go first there, and they don't know what to do, and then it cuts to them being back with Edda, and it's like, all right, we need to learn how to rob a bank in Spanish.
Well, I love the line. She's like, you have a very fine vocabulary for what you're trying to do here. And then it's like, like, get him on the floor. Ponte la pared. No, you know what? You read it.
that first robbery scene. He's like, no, I've already said that. Go to the next line. I just love it.
Is that when you texted me? Hey, dude, I'm cracking up, dude. I know. I was cracking up too.
I just couldn't.
I think look, this movie, the thing to me is like when dialogue is happening, it is punchy, it is strong, it knows exactly what it wants to do. I think it's some of those in between moments that, like, again, that I would get lost in.
Sure.
In like why do we have to have like a 25-minute long chase scene of the bandits and them trying to run away from these bandits? But it's because they're running away from having to change and accept.
Exactly. But I love those scenes just because, like, the whole time, Sundance is just like, who are these guys? Who are these guys?
Yo, it's like They should have made Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid wondering who are these guys.
And it's just so funny because Cassidy comes up with these plans every single time. Oh, let's let loose the horse or the one guy at the one town. He'll fight for us. And it just, they continue to realize that the law has advanced and adapted to modern times, and they have not been able to, right? Even though they've been able to get away with it for years, now it's catching up to them.
I don't know. Where do you want to go for this? I was gonna mention something I loved. Do you want me to mention it? I love every single train robbery scene at the in the first part of the act. Mm-hmm. They come in. He's having Butch is having a conversation with
Woodcock.
Woodcock.
Woodcock is my favorite, dude.
My favorite. He's just coming in. He's like, "Come on, Woodcock, just open the door," and then coming in with the amount of explosives and then coming back again and doing even more explosives. It's truly.
My favorite is the second robbery, and they're loading it up with explosive, and Woodcock says, "Butch, you know that if it were my money, there is nobody that I would rather have steal it than you."
That's right.
But you see, I am still in the employment of E.H. Harriman of the Union Pacific Railroad. I just love Woodcock. He is funny. He adds. He's this bumbling nemesis almost, but not. He's just like the minion of Harriman, right? And it's just great. I want to talk a little bit about the Pinkertons, or this posse that's out to get them, right?
Yeah. They're not Pinkertons.
No, they're not Pinkertons. They were hired by Harriman, right?
Right.
So they're just another posse.
I just consider them the Tombstone Gang. That's what I just kept picturing. It's like this is Tombstone before they became Tombstone. And or like after they're like finishing up, they're like, let's do one last job.
But these scenes, I actually, if we don't have time to do like scene breakdowns, but I would have loved to get your opinions on like those long shots.
Yeah, dude,
they're beautiful. And from the time that we see the train coming from far away, right? We just see the smoke. And this, like, I love that, like, the build up to this. They've blown up the train. There's money all over. They used too much dynamite.
I was actually sorry. I just want to interrupt you on this one. When that explosion happened, I'm like, did they like accidentally put too much dynamite for the actual for this movie film? Like, it felt like truly like it almost broke the fourth wall for me.
Oh, okay.
In the sense of like, oh crap. Was that too much dynamite? And then
it's
like
supposed to be funny, but there's a point where you're like, oh wait, is everyone okay in this?
Legit, it just felt like it was almost like it was because part of it is because it's real.
Yeah,
I mean they did full on special effects for that. Like it's a whole thing. Anyways, but I also look. I'm telling you, from the beginning of this film, I got caught up in cinematography.
Yeah, I think that's what it won an Oscar for. I could be wrong though. Go on. I'll look it up.
So, but like you said, the billowing smoke from this train, like it stops. Like they're waiting for the end of the scene. Like, what's going to happen? And then we just get them stopping, not even close, and the posse, heading out, and them booking it.
Yeah.
Right. Just leave the money. And we haven't, the now, like, one of the things is that, like, I mean, this film was filmed in Colorado, St. George, a couple other places here
in Mexico,
Zion, I think,
all over Utah.
All over Utah.
Yeah.
So, like, this, like, you see some beautiful expanses from all over this area, from the, these Rocky Mountain / desert, old Mexico area, and it's just they captured the beauty of it, the regalness of why you come and you live here, and you either are gonna try to figure out your way, or you're gonna figure out your way another way, right? You know, you're gonna have to like go to the man, or you're gonna become steal from the man.
No, yeah, it won best screenplay.
Yep.
And cinematography.
Yeah, I
just love those. I mean, beautiful landscapes, right? You get it, but those shots of like seeing the posse after them, right? And then just those long shots, and then cutting back to them and like them panicking. What kind of lens would?
I mean, they're using telephoto lenses,
Okay.
right? So their telephoto lenses are going to be lenses that you're looking at 70 to 200, maybe 200 to 400. I mean, at this time, they're probably like big A lenses. The other thing about this, though, is for this film specifically, there's a lot of shots that are here that are done with zoom lens. Like they really utilize zoom lenses and the parfocal nature. Parfocal means that I can set a focus when I'm zoomed in, and as I zoom out, everything stays in focus. There's no shifting. There's a thing called focus breathing, where it's the opposite of being parfocal, meaning if I've focused on you and I've zoomed in and I go to zoom out, you're gonna feel like a weird warp shifting effect, and it can be jarring for narrative stuff. Nowadays it's not the end of the world. It's gotten pretty good. There's like compensations with software and whatnot, but truly some of the best is that, like, this film again, utilizes like Citizen Kane. The cinematographer is
Conrad Hall.
Yeah, Conrad Hall is phenomenal. He really leverages not only like framing and his shot, like his focal length choices, right? I mean, obviously, even though he's on he has a telephoto zoom or a lens where it's like still looking far. There's in such an expansive area that we still get such a beautiful landscape stuff, right? If he had gone wider, we wouldn't have gotten the same effect. He's probably like 85, maybe even 100, maybe more, maybe sitting at 200 on some spots. But I think that, like, overall, I just love the overall feel when we're with. He doesn't use a ton of wide angle lenses, but what he does do is every single shot feels it's well. We got a nice framing. We have beautiful like shots. Some of my favorite is, I think one of my favorites is when they're hiding away in the whorehouse, and he's like, look, he pointed him and passing them, they'll keep on going, and they come rushing back with guns, and he just points and they do like a smash zoom on his face. I think Citizen Kane really helped to open up people's and their thoughts on like what they could do with lenses and what they could do with that cinematography storytelling that we get Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid.
I just it just looks beautiful. Like, it continues to like hold the test of time. Those shots, the landscaping, obviously, but like really leveraging the colors, that sepia tone effect, right? It just looks incredible. And he went on to also do the cinematography for a Road to Perdition, American Beauty. So great skill set. I want to talk a little bit about like just William Goldman, the writer. He won a Oscar for this.
This is kind of a big deal, right? Give me the story of this, because I don't know. I know a little bit of it, but I'm not well versed. So like, what's the story behind the whole? Because it's a big deal that he won a screenplay for this, right?
Yeah. So he actually was offered to write The Godfather, and he turned that down because he just didn't want to get involved with it, and it was too for him. He felt like it was just too much of a hard adaptation, and he instead spent years studying the story of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. And for you Gen Zs out there, like, this is him going to libraries and like getting
yo. It's who's the most? What library in the country has got the most Butch Cassidy biographies?
Yeah.
They're out there like, you got to go to Utah.
And he did. He spent years studying about this and then going through and developing a screenplay that could tell this narrative story about change, as we've talked about, and the inevitable change and this relationship between these two guys, right? And so for him to go through that and build it out, one, it's just great. Second, I love this movie is often now considered the movie that set the tone for buddy action movies, right?
I love buddy action movies. The Other Guys. One of my favorite buddy action movies.
Okay, and I think this is why I now that I watch this, I appreciate more this movie, because that's at the end of at its core, that's what this movie is.
It is. That's true.
Right? If you think of like the Lethal Weapons.
Yeah.
Okay?
100%.
You see so much from those movies that's pulled out of here. You know, even like the scene of them like jumping into the river. Like that's just Lethal Weapon all over, right? Shanghai Noon.
Oh, 100%.
Okay? The Rush Hour. Okay? Like everything we see in these movies, the blueprint is here. You have one of your two characters is just the smart, charismatic, stoic leader. The other one is more of the skillful one who butts heads with the other guy, and like, but they get at each other's nerves, but they love each other. Like it is all here.
Freak, dude. Okay, that sold me.
And
that's what it got me.
I think that's why I love this movie, because like I love the Rush Hours, the Lethal Weapons, you name them, right?
Yeah,
they're great, and I think my love for them now, I'm realizing, is because of what William created here between Butch and Sundance Kid. It is the dialogue that they write, and not that there hadn't been like buddy action movies, or like,
right,
there had been, right? But this is the movie that really solidified it, and it set the foundation for decades worth of buddy action movies.
Dude, so well said. Thank you. Truly, that solidifies the understanding of like, okay, no, this film is a classic why for a reason, and it's because it solidified this genre. It took it out of the Western,
yes,
solidified it as a buddy, the buddy adventure, and like what's going to come of it, and became an iconic film for so many other films that we now love. I mean, Rush Hours is truly some of my favorite films, and I don't watch them enough.
Yeah,
no one talks about them enough because they're phenomenal, and but at the same time, they're ones that like, you know what I think? What it is like, these films, they come and go, but they often are the ones you cherish the most.
Yes. And I think it's just because they're built on at their core. It's just about the relationship between your two leads, right?
Yeah.
And whether that relationship is, can I trust this guy in a life or death situation, or just the interactions that they have, like we see that here. And I love that shootout at the end where
it's just, what is that? What you call running?
And Cassidy's like, all right, I'll cover for you. You run and get the ammo. And then he pauses and he's like, that's not going to work, is it? You have to be the one that covers for me because you're the better shot. I'm horrible at shooting, right? And so like this interaction, when they're about to die and they're still like cracking jokes at each other and like at each other's expense, right? That's what solidifies for me this movie, is that those interactions, and it paves the way for what we know to be buddy action films, right? You love or let's talk Bad Boys, right?
Yeah.
You enjoy those movies.
I do.
And you have one character, right? The Will Smith character versus Martin Lawrence's character, who's just the big goofy. Yep. He's just there for the ride. And you have Will Smith, who's the heroic.
He's the heroic,
right? And it all comes back to
Butch Cassidy, baby. Okay, man. Look, brotherly love, bro.
That's what it is.
That's what we got here. We got brotherly love, and we don't want to change because we want to stay the same. I think for this film, William Goldman, I think he wrote it best for the film with the line of "I got a vision. The rest of the world is wearing bifocals."
There you go.
Like he knew what he was going for, what he wanted for this film, and it like looking at it through the because like I said, like you get these little moments. I love that, like the line I said, or that the whole breakdown of like, not that it like just what is it for them and their journey, but also the fact that like they struggle, that they can't do something without each other.
Yeah.
They can't even like they can't even agree on like how which one's gonna love the female interest.
Yeah.
Anyways, this is I can see why you love it, and I was wrong.
I did it. Look, I love this movie. I will be watching this a lot more often. I had a great time with it. I was laughing. I mean,
you literally texted me, dude. I'm cracking up.
Yeah. I mean, everything from even like the scene where like you mentioned, they're hiding, and you have like the sheriff that's trying to like garner support a mob to go after Cassidy and Sundance, and no one cares, to the point where the bike seller then pushes him off the stage. He's like, all right, the future is here. Say goodbye to horses. And he starts selling bicycles. Like, it's just so funny. I love this movie.
I love the part where he's like, the guy takes his gun when he's trying to get a job in Bolivia, and he throws the tin cans. Like, all right, can you shoot that? And he like shoots it. And he's like, oh well. He's like, can I move?
His style of shooting is just so chaotic, but it works for him. I love it.
No, that's so good.
Favorite scene?
Okay, favorite scene. I think it has to be the opening sequence.
Yeah.
But I think specifically of Sundance. Because we get the opening sequence with Butch, and he's the one who is really carrying us on this journey of like trying to find change. And like the shots are long, they slow, cutting back and forth. But when it comes to the introduction of Sundance, man, it is just so good with the tension building.
Yeah.
We don't even get we don't get a clear shot of Butch, or even of the other poker player.
Yeah.
We just get this 85 mil shot on Sundance. He's like backlit, rimlit, his rim lighted, and so you only get a portion of his face, but he's got the cards that he's like dealing, and this dialogue of the other character being a great player, right? We don't cut to him. We just know that there's like, maybe he's cheating. He's being alluding that he's cheating. He's like, I don't know, you're pretty great. And then we have the standoff with the gun, right? And then the blocking of Butch coming around,
yeah,
and him coming in frame and solidifying the intro for this this duo. Okay, him trying to just convince, and then not convincing Sundance, but convincing the other guy.
Just offer him to. You
don't even have to mean it.
Yeah, you don't even have to mean it. Just offer him to stay.
Yeah,
and he'll leave.
And so it's just, and then you get the final, shot, and I don't know, it's awesome.
It's a great scene. I love that scene. I love the introductions. I love the lighting, everything about it. And it just lets us know who these two are, like you said. Great introduction. My favorite scene probably has to be once they've gone straight and they're taking the money back. Well, they go pick up the money at the bank, and then he said, "What is?" Cassidy says, "Didn't we just rob this bank back in May?"
Yeah.
And then they're covering their faces. Oh, I love it. Anyway, and then anyways, they're on their way back. The one guy gets shot, and they are just like, I love it for a couple of reasons. One, like this is where we see, they've been getting chased after by that one posse, but now they're like in a standoff, and
they're trying to change.
They're trying to change. They are cornered and they can't escape. And so, like, for me, this is where I see them like, oh, like, how are they going to get out of this mess? Yeah. They don't have the ability that they've had previously of just running away. But they figure it out, and then the guys come. They toss the money, right? They leave, then they come back again, and I just love. You take the two on the right, and I'll take the others.
Butch, or Sundance, I gotta tell you something. I've
never shot anybody before.
What is it? What did he say?
You tell me this now.
You're telling me this now.
I just love that interaction of the tension, the danger that I'm experiencing as the viewer, and then you cut that with this comedic beat from Paul Newman, from Robert Redford, and just bringing that lightness to it, and then they shoot them and they get away. But then they have that impact of like, is this even worth it? Like, we're trying to change, and
yeah.
Right, and what that means for them moving forward, because then, again, the idea of change, and they can't adapt. They want to change, but they can't adapt. I just love that scene. It's the tension's there, the danger's there, the comedic beats are there. It's a perfect scene for me.
Yeah, I was literally thinking about that line as I was coming to get you, because it's so good.
It's just funny. At the end of this series of classics we've never seen, I want us to ponder this question of why does this continue to be a classic?
Wait, so like all of these films, or just like
what is it about each of these movies
okay,
that makes them classics, right? I have a lot of thoughts. I mean, we talked in detail with Citizen Kane, but I think this movie is just really good at introducing characters, making you like them, and just building this relationship between them. And like I've already discussed, right? Establishing what a buddy action film is, and how you need to have that chemistry between your two leads, but writing them to be able to support one another, whether in action, in the tension, in comedy, whatever that may be. That's what makes a good action, a buddy action comedy, is being able to write those beats in all aspects for these characters to support one another. And I think this movie, again, stamp of approval, does it perfectly.
Well said. I'm happy we were able to watch this film. I'm happy to rewatch this film and fall in love with it more effectively. And not only that, but I'm like cherishing the moments I get to recognize it. Like, thank you, Butch. When I'm watching the next, Wolves, I bet you anything, the new
George Clooney and Brad Pitt movie, yeah,
easily gonna have some sort of reference to the body comedy. I mean, you have the like banter already from the trailer, but like at the end of the day, like those two characters, and I hope that it's gonna be great. And I miss them. We don't I'm glad we got Bad Boys 4. And in fact, I was going to watch the other guys the other day because I love a good buddy.
I have the Shanghai Noon movies on my watch list that I grew up watching those movies, and I just haven't visited them in like a decade, which is weird because I would watch them religiously.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I owe it all to this movie. What those movies are is because of this.
Okay, real side question. Between Shanghai Noon and Rush Hour, which are you picking?
Rush Hour.
Right?
Shanghai Noon is great.
Oh, it's
And
phenomenal.
so is Shanghai Night. Like,
Yes, both solid, amazing movies.
it's a bummer we didn't get a third
Yeah.
from that trilogy or from that series, but yeah, they're great movies. But I just Chris Tucker.
Yeah.
You just can't.
No, Chris Rock, right?
No, it's Chris Tucker.
Oh, you're right. Chris Rock, Chris Tucker,
Yeah, Chris Tucker just
and Jackie Chan.
and Jackie Chan. Like, what a combination.
Awesome.
You know what? We're gonna do those movies.
It's yes. I have that movie. I love those movies.
We'll do. Listeners, let us know. Should we do a month of buddy actions? And which
I feel like we should do that for. I feel like we need to do that for December. Like we record. We just do. We just love buddy comedy. Yeah, we just go with the whole bunch of them.
We'll do buddy action movies.
We'll figure some out. All right. Look. Thank you so much for selecting this for us. We hope you enjoyed this rewatching or first time watching of this film. I hope you were more like Marcel than me. But if you were like me, we hope I am hoping that Marcel was able to convince you as he did me on the fact that this movie, it deserves its slot to be the iconic buddy film that started the revolution, right? Of like a film that is trying to change what it was, something that people were forgetting and didn't care about.
More importantly, we want to hear from you. What do you like about Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid? How many times have you seen it? What are your favorite moments? You can always connect with us on all of our socials at Real Chumps, or feel free to email us at realchumps.com. You can find me on Twitter at Marstrosity, MARZTROSITY.
You can find me at Rubio_TV, or check us out on YouTube at Real Chums, or wherever you like to hang out. Join us next week as we continue our month-long discussion on classic movies we haven't seen with It's a Wonderful Life. Marcel is so excited for this movie.
This is one of your suggestions, and this what got the most votes?
Yeah.
This was the movie that got the most votes. Look, I have not seen this. You have
That's
not.
the point, bro.
You have not seen this.
No.
I have pushed this movie out for years. We'll talk about it next week.
Later.